Okay.
Now?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey friends, welcome back. This is episode 109. This was going to be a fun one because we're going to talk about belief versus unbelief.
Yes.
Right. And we have jets, we have kittens.
We've got a little bit of stimuli here.
We're going to let the jet go over. So I think this is really interesting when I did it for myself because I saw it recently. And I did it with one of my clients, and now I'm going to do it with Carmen. And I think it's really interesting because the humans, it seems to be consistent. How we show up in belief is consistent, and how a lot of us show up in unbelief is consistent. And it's I think it's like very empowering when you can see these patterns.
Okay.
So how I got to this is like, and if you follow me on social media, like I've been working for the last 18 months to get muscle ups at CrossFit.
Oh.
Okay. So like I've been very focused. I work on them every day after class. Right. Like it's not just like it's a goal. I've been focused on this goal.
Sure.
Okay. Still have not got them. And I know from coaching that how we do one thing is how we do most things. And we want to be in a place where we don't have to recreate the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have one area in your life that you've been able to create success in, achieve goals, you have the skill set then that you can apply to different areas of your life. You pull from that skill set. Okay.
Sure.
So like I said, 18 months, still haven't got my muscle ups. I also have some unbelief in my business, right? Like, because I have big goals, financial goals. I wanted to hit 100K this year. And beyond that, I have this multi-million-dollar business vision, right? And there's unbelief there. Like, and when I started breaking down, because I finally have transitioned, like I'm probably a week away from getting my muscle up.
Okay.
And what was the defining moment for me is like, I spent all these months like asking coach after coach, like, tell me what I'm doing wrong. Give me feedback. Right. And I just kept looking for people to tell me what to do. And I kept looking like online, like different drills to do. And internally, like I knew in my gut level, I'm like, I really think that it's like, it's not strength. I think it's coordination. Right. And they would have me do all these things. And I'm like, I don't think this is it. And so last week I was standing there and I was looking at the bar and I just was like, fuck it. I was like, people that do muscle ups decide they will do muscle ups, period. They're determined to do muscle ups, right? There's that very like intense energy.
Okay.
Right. And I knew I don't have that energy.
Oh, okay.
All right. So I was like, okay, I'm going to be determined. So if I'm determined to get this muscle up, what do I need to do? And I started self-evaluating.
Okay.
Right. Like I evaluated where my own body was in space. And so I knew like, okay, I know that I'm just floating back. How do I describe this? So on a muscle up kipping, you're going to hang on the bar, you're going to do your kip forward, swing through, and then you're going to push back. Well, I knew like all I was doing was floating back and pausing.
Okay.
And in a muscle up, you have to like push back and then throw your hips towards the bar and transition into a dip.
Oh, okay.
I knew, I had enough insight, I'm just floating.
Yeah.
Right. So I was like, I have to get aggressive about this. I have to stop floating. I have to like aggressively try to actually get one. And somehow in that, so the next day after I had that determination, I did a muscle up with one band. I did 3 of them with a tiny little red band. If you can do it with red band, it means that you can actually do it. Like,
okay.
The tiny red band is doing nothing. But so I knew, I was like, oh, I've got them. I'm there. It was the determination and like me paying attention to my body and making just a little bit of changes. And I saw it then. This whole time, this whole 18 months, I've been in the unbelief model.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So here are the things that come up in my unbelief model. I live in want and hope,
Okay.
right? That's the energy I'm in. I want these muscle ups. I want 100K. I hope
Yeah.
I can get it.
Okay.
Okay. Are you like, we're
Yes.
seeing where this energy is going, right?
Yeah.
Which means that I'm a victim,
Okay.
right? Like it's
I
outside
was
of
gonna say, yeah,
me.
you don't have control over it.
Yes.
Okay.
So I
Yeah.
look for someone to tell me what to do when I'm in
Okay.
unbelief.
Yeah.
I repeat the same behaviors over and over and over. And that's what I did for 18 months.
Yeah.
I worked on the same thing over and over.
Okay.
I don't take ownership of my results. I don't
Okay.
believe I can have them. So I don't take ownership of going and getting them. They're
Right.
outside of me. I don't try new things. So they send me all these drills to do. I don't do them. Why? I don't
Because
believe I can do it.
right.
So why waste my time? I constantly look for external validation. You can do this, Kim. You can build 100K. You can get these. My brain goes offline. It isn't focused. It just kind of like
It's automatic.
checks out a
Automated.
little
Yeah.
bit, right? My brain and my body are disconnected. They're
Mm-hmm.
not talking to each other very well. I don't take the time to evaluate what's working, what's not working, and what do I want to do differently,
Yeah.
right? Why evaluate? It's not
It's not
going
gonna
to
happen.
happen, right? I feel powerless and I don't achieve my goals.
Okay. That makes sense. I could see that. Yeah. Yeah. Um, that's interesting because I never thought about that before, right? But you're right. When we're unbelief or disbelief, I can resonate with a lot with some of those. Earlier when you asked me to write this list, I was like, I don't. It was hard to see that, yeah, because if you're in unbelief or disbelief, um, that's like the norm, right? Yeah.
Right.
So, but yeah, okay, I can see that. So you asked me before, like, hey, even when I was in med school, like, what was that journey like? If felt like it was hard and that unbelief that I couldn't do it, right? Or like that I wasn't supposed to be there.
Yeah.
And when you first asked me, I thought, when I don't believe in something, I have a tendency to be more like quiet and reserved, right? Like I go within. I'm not like being bold about, I'm not taking any risks. It's like, no, I'm gonna stay to myself, because if I don't think I can do it, then if I make a mistake or I stay down here under the radar, it's safe.
Yep.
It's safe. And so but denying that I could achieve something, or like you were asking, well, what did it look like as far as coursework? Because I did, and you've called me out a few times when I'm like, gosh, med school was really hard for me. I worked so much harder than everybody else, and you've called me out on that. And I thought, oh, I did that because like people would go out, they'd go out to dinner, they would go do something on the weekends, and I didn't. I just stayed home and studied the whole time. But that's that denying myself time off, because I didn't actually believe that I could do well in school. Right. And so that's because I know that my experience in med school is very different from a lot of my colleagues. And I always thought that it was not just that I worked harder, but I came from this perspective that I didn't necessarily belong there. Everybody had a science background, so I created that as evidence in my mind that I wasn't supposed to be there.
Right.
Yeah. So, and then, I mean, even to translate in my business now, that I do I play safe, play small, play safe. Yeah. Versus, when, I believe something. So like, I believe in naturopathic medicine. So I feel like, there's like, I love speaking. I'm outspoken about that. I'm willing to take those risks. I'm willing to, show up and give those talks to a whole group of people that I don't know, and do this podcast and share that information because I'm confident in I believe in naturopathic medicine, but now my belief in myself on whether I can grow a business and is a little bit different.
Yep.
And so it's changing, but I didn't realize how deep that goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's super interesting because you like how we do one thing is how we do most things, right?
True.
So
yeah.
I showed up in that unbelief the exact same way
Yeah.
doing muscle ups as I do in my business.
Yeah. Yeah. I wrote down, being quiet, having to having a lot of self-doubt, right? Yeah. And it is for me, it's that playing it safe, right? Like not trying not new things because I don't believe it.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So we're reevaluating things.
I think
I want to believe though. I mean, I want to believe that.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, but I see how I'm showing up with those things because I guess I don't truly believe it yet.
Right.
Yeah.
And you don't have it.
Yeah, I
Right.
don't have it.
Right. And what's so like mind-blowing about this, or like ambitious too, is what we believe we will always create. So if we are in unbelief, we don't believe it will happen, we will create it not happening.
Yeah. True. And it's a little bit tricky because that idea of like I hope and I want, like that can feel very tangible.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, when we think of like creating goals in general, it's like I create a goal because this is something that I want, something that I hope for and I want to achieve. But it's different than believing you can do it and actually doing it.
Yep.
Oh, that's tricky.
Yeah. So when we go to the column, so I made 2 columns. So I go over to belief column, and I thought about something like when I am in belief about something, how do I show up in the world? How do I act? What I do? What do I not do? I'm determined. I have aggressive energy, right? Like I'm going to get this. I listen to me. I courageously try new things because I know I'm going to get it. So it doesn't make it, if it doesn't work, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Right. I have a confident energy. I evaluate and I pivot. This isn't working. I evaluate, I pivot it. I look for answers inside of me. I take ownership over my results. My brain is focused and online. I have certainty. I have calmness. I do it believing. I put all my effort into it. I don't half-ass it, and I achieve my goals.
Yeah. It was much easier when we started this list and you asked me to write down belief. It was much easier to write my beliefs list first. Yeah. Or write my belief list. Like I had, all right, I've got, things already written. It was harder for my unbelief list until I really thought about it. But I think, when we believe something, this way it kind of showed up for me is, I feel that confident energy. I feel much more confident, right? Like that willing to take risks, that being open, like, being very expressive about it. And even if things don't work out, being able to switch gears, but being more outspoken, being bold, was like the first thing I wrote. I was like, oh, when I believe in something, I'm bold about it. Very opposite when I don't believe 100%.
And I think why, like, our brain wants to keep this unbelief pattern hidden. Like, why?
It's trying to protect ourselves. It's trying to protect us. Because I mean, I think we've mentioned this before, is that taking those risks is scary, right? And when you take that risk of something different, you trigger that fear center, you trigger that amygdala, and that sends those chemicals that says, hey, we want to be safe, don't die. And that paralyzes us in a sense. But it's a very kind of this like thinking and looking at this list of unbelief characteristics is it's kind of sly in
It
that
is.
sense. It's kind of sly and just kind of settles in there. So even though you're trying to keep you alive, your brain's trying to keep you alive, it's not like waving a red flag like don't jump off the cliff.
Right.
It's like, look, we're going to send you some subtle messages to
Yes.
keep you from getting too close to the edge.
Yep.
Our brain is complex.
It is.
Yeah, I'm always in awe about it, but yeah, putting those pieces of the puzzle together, that really like uncovered a lot for me. Just a minute ago, I'm like, wait a minute, because if you would have asked me, do you believe your business can be successful? Do you believe you can make the money you want to make? I would have said, yeah, sure, of course I can. Yeah, but then when you evaluate it that like this, I'm like, oh, that's that hope and want. That's not me like believing it, like feeling it in my being that I'm gonna be there one day.
Yes. And this genius.
I
don't know where my brain came up with this, but man, good on you, brain.
I'm so glad that that it revealed itself to you, because this, I had never thought of it like this. But I think you're definitely onto something. Yeah. Because it's kind of sneaky in that sense.
Yeah, of course. And if you think of it like primal brain wants to keep us in the cave,
Mm-hmm.
there's no way, like waving a red flag, like, right, tiger threat, you're going to go hide in the cave for 2-3 hours.
Right.
But the objective is to keep you hidden in the cave for at least 15 years.
Right.
There's no way the red flag is going to keep me hidden in the cave for 15 years. But if you come in with all this subtleness, right? You can help me. You can keep me trapped in there.
Exactly. Yeah. It's that subtle, and it kind of, it builds a little bit. Yeah. And then I'm sure that there's some level of like your brain finding proof, right?
Yeah.
That, you need to stay on the safe side, or you've never done that before, right?
Yeah.
Like what makes you think that you can do that? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I love this. Being able to see it's shedding light, but being able to kind of pull back the curtain and you like look into your brain and be like, oh, how's my brain? It's keeping us alive, but it kind of feels like, oh, I've been deceived to a certain degree. Because of these things that I thought I believed, but there's subtle differences. It wasn't actually a true belief. It was like, that's something I'd like to see. I'd hope.
Which is really interesting because, like we always talk about people need hope. And it's like, well, but hope is also like, it's an internal prison right here. I will live in unbelief as long as I'm in just hope and want.
Yeah. So I think there's a little bit of a fine line between hope and like doing.
Yes.
Right. And I want to speak to this because I saw one of my colleagues posted I guess it was like an infographic or something, or like a meme that was like, what does my naturopathic doctor do for me? And one of the answers was, gives me hope. And I was like, okay, I've had people tell that, say that to me in my office. And I was like, I can see that, because people, if you don't have another perspective and you've been told, right, like, oh, you've got to do it this way, oh, well, we've run out of options for you, your prognosis is this, like there's nothing else we can do, you get really defeated. And so as a naturopathic doctor, often we have different perspectives. So we say, well, that's not the only thing, there is more things that we can always do, and that gives people hope. But that's different than taking action.
It's different than belief. So if you take this whole concept we just talked about and you think about your patients, you've gave them hope,
right?
But how many of them have just lived in the hope and the want,
right?
And how many have believed and really like cured themselves, and you cured them,
right? Those are two different columns. Yeah. Not everybody can switch that hope to belief to be like, oh, wow, and it's interesting to see what our brain does with that suggestion of like, hey, something could be different in your life, right? Like something could be different, whatever that may be. And so that's how we get new ideas. That's how we get that hope. I think that's why we make goals, for ourselves. And why people dream of something different. Right. But to be able to take that dream and that hope and create a belief system takes more. It takes a lot more.
But I think we share a client, and I remember this person would be like, well, I've tried everything. I've tried everything. Right. And it's like, they're hoping this will work.
Right.
They don't believe it is.
Right.
Right. Versus me, like, I've ran into lots of like dead ends on this journey before you. And some with you, right? But I always came with this attitude of like, I will find the answer. Right. Like, not, well, I've tried everything. It was always like, I will find the answer, and I have a solid belief in it.
Right. That shapes, that shapes our thought process, but also our actions. How we act on things and how we even react to situations because of that belief. I love it. This is very enlightening to me. Because you know, when we think of like, I don't know how to describe that, like, I think we probably did a pretty good job about explaining, you know, like that hope and that want, and then versus this belief. Because sometimes when we think of beliefs, I think of, I believe in certain aspects of like the world around us, right? Like, I believe in my faith and spirituality, right? Like, I believe in a lot of things, but it's different when it translates like, I believe I can do that, right? Like, or I believe this is going to happen in my life and for me. And so you're really kind of testing and pushing that boundary and that understanding of beliefs of, oh, okay, you know, and you may like see it happen to other people, so you believe it can happen, but does it happen to me? You know, like, will this maybe not happen to me, but will this happen for me? Or is this something that I will do?
It's like, I like that example. We see it happen to someone else, so we believe it's possible, it can happen. But a lot of times we will then move to hope and want.
Right.
And we know we're in unbelief then.
Right.
Versus, I see that she can do this. Well, easy for me. I can do that too then. Right. And there's such a difference. Like, for me, like, I like this, like, I encourage you guys, make a list. One side, unbelief, and ask yourself, when I'm in unbelief about something, how do I show up in the world? How do I act? What do I do? What do I not do? What do I feel? What do I not feel? Right. Versus, think about a situation where you really believed in it. How did I act? What did I do? What did I not do? How did I feel? What did I not feel? Right. And make yourself your calm, so you can be onto yourself and see this, like, oh, when I'm in hope and want, like Brooke made, I don't know, $40 million, right? I believe it's possible. I believe it can happen. But there's a very like weak energy that's connected to that in me, right? Like, it's like, I hope, I want.
You've seen it. It can happen.
I hope the universe gives that to me. I hope, you know, like, hope that it's my destiny. It feels outside of me. Right. Versus when it's like, now, like, I can make 20K in my business. It's like, there's an energy that's when it's like a strength and an energy that's in me that's like, hell yeah, I can. Like, that's like, it feels empowered within me.
I think just how we've talked about how the brain finds that evidence. I think it makes sense when you believe that and you have that internal energy towards that belief. Your brain will make strides to make that happen.
Oh yeah, it'll
Yeah.
figure out the how.
Yeah, exactly. And it'll do that in the background. And again, it'll
Yep.
be those like small subtle changes, but they will be working towards
Yep.
whatever that belief is.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the reticular activating system, which is in charge
Mhm.
of finding evidence for the belief,
It'll
will
filter.
go find evidence to feed that belief for you.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Oh.
So a lot of it is just deciding. So my clients were like, well, how do I do this?
Yeah.
You decide.
You
make a decision. Like I'm gonna believe. I decide I'm gonna believe in it. I ask my brain, go look for evidence to prove this belief is true. I
Yes.
create evidence for myself and put it around the house.
Yeah.
Right. And then I pull from one thing, the same, like a skill set where I've created something that I believe in.
Yeah.
And I look at that skill set and I know I have it. So I'll pull it over here to this.
Apply it to
Yes.
the next belief.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense. It kind of sounds easy. I feel like I have a little bit more work to do because I didn't even recognize some of my disbelief. I'm gonna encourage you guys, if you put your list together, it was very helpful when you asked about a specific event, right?
Yeah.
Like, or a specific time in your life where you had like a disbelief. It's gonna be much easier, to put that list together. Because at first I thought, oh, well, I believe in a lot of things. Yeah, like, but but it's distinctly different.
Yeah.
It's distinctly different. Your belief versus just that hope and want and understanding. That you can have whatever it is you want if you believe it.
So it's like easy to think of a goal that you've achieved. What was the belief? How you showed up? Think of a goal that you haven't achieved.
Right.
How do you show up?
Okay.
That's going to you'll start being able to tease out like the unbelief.
Well, sure. And it's much easier for your brain to bridge that. Because then it uses that pattern of like, oh, I did this. It's like, well, we can replicate. And we can replicate that. Okay. I feel like you just gave us a key to unlocking our brain. That's huge.
That's how I felt when I did this too. I was like, oh wow, this is like
this is really
groundbreaking work right here.
I think so. I hope you guys appreciate that, because it is. That's what I feel like when you said that. I was like, oh, okay, I have some more work to do. But I didn't recognize it before.
Right. Yep. Awareness. Half the battle. All right, guys, go do your list.
Yes.
Talk to you later.